Hi folks, did you miss me? There's been a lot going on the studio side of the Laka Laka Lounge. And also a lot going on in the private life of your favorite bosun mate infantryman turned artist who likes to drink on YouTube while telling sea stories. Because I'm sure there are plenty of those around. Well, I don't know about you, but I need a drink. To the liquor locker. I could use another one. Thanks, sweet cheeks.
Did you hear that? He just called someone sweet cheeks. Rude. Patronizingly chauvinistic.
I was talking to myself. Hi. Tonight I'm making 3 dots and a dash. 3 dots and a dash is a reference to the Morse code for letter V. It's an essential tiki cocktail, crafted by Don the Beachcomber sometime either during or shortly after World War II. Don the Beachcomber served during World War II in the United States Army Air Forces. And in fact, a few of his beverages reference that time of his life. 3 dots and a dash references World War II because letter V stood for victory. He was very guarded about his recipes. Some might even say paranoid. And so he would make all the mixes for his drinks before the bar even opened, labeling them innocuously such as number 1, number 2, number 3, etc., etc. Number 2 sounds kind of shitty. That way all the bartenders had to do is add the appropriate booze in the appropriate amounts, and they didn't need to know what all went into it. Good for Don. Nobody ever stole his shit. Bad for us, because when we drink anything made by Don the Beachcomber, it's really just a reverse engineered representation of that drink. Sorry, that was me. So anytime you get a drink with hashtag Don the Beachcomber attached to its pedigree, just take that with a grain of salt. Or an extra garnish. Now, while 3 dots and a dash might mean V for victory in Beachcomberville, here at the Laka Laka Lounge and Liquor Locker, it stands for something entirely different. Should I tell him? Go ahead. It's your circus, I'm just the sideshow. Here in the Laka Laka Lounge, 3 dots and a dash stands for V for Victorville. A horrid, dusty little burg just north of Los Angeles off the 15. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. You must be careful. Its greatest achievement is that it's on the way to Las Vegas. Another dusty burg off the 15. But enough about Victorville. We'll hear more about that later. Let's make this drink. Recipe for this drink is going to be down in the description. That way I don't have to go over it here. It makes the video a little bit shorter. Break out your Martinique Rhum Agricole, John D. Taylor's Velvet Falernum. This is going to get rough because, I mean, I've got like an ounce of this left, and once it's gone because the people over at Bevmo say they're not getting any more until mid-2024. You're going to need St. Elizabeth Allspice Dram, an aged and blended rum. I'm going to use Pussers because I like Pussers. Angostura bitters. Honey syrup. The recipe for honey syrup is also below in the description. Super difficult. Fresh squeezed lime juice. Don't let the bottle fool you. I freshly squeeze my limes and I put them in this bottle because it has this fancy little top. I like it. It's no mess. No moss. No mess. Freshly squeezed orange juice. You're going to need a pineapple for the garnish and also maraschino cherries. Don't use the goofy ass red cherries you get in the jar at the store. Get some good cherries for this because the garnish is really what makes it. You can either use a slice of pineapple or a pineapple frond, whichever tickles your toes. I find the fronds to be more ticklish. You'll also need crushed ice with a couple larger ice cubes and break out the blender, people. The recipe I'm getting from Smuggler's Cove, Exotic Cocktails, Rum, and the Cult of Tiki by Martin Kate with Rebecca Kate. Ah, dynamic duo. Add more crushed ice. Now for the garnish. I'm using bourbon bada bing cherries from Tillin Farms. Sorry, pineapple. And there it is. 3 dots and a dash. To your health. That's really good. I mean, that's really good. The honey syrup, I think, really brings out the smoky flavors of the rum. And it adds a little bit of a sweetness, but not too much. The Falernum also adds a bit of a sweetness. I'm about to run out of Falernum. So with that in mind, I'll probably try to use a vanilla liqueur that I have from Germany, Dos Comet. Find that in one of the former episodes. But yeah, I'm going to have to get creative. You can also make your own Falernum, which I might try at some point, but just not today. It's, I mean, it's already like midnight. Just don't drink too many of these because you might wake up and find yourself UA. No bueno. Speaking of UA, this is sailor parlance for unauthorized absence. I was once UA from the USS Peleliu for 4 days. I know. You're probably thinking, but Boats, you're such a stand-up guy. He pisses on her and shits integrity. Believe me when I say this was not intentional or a planned event. See, me and my shipmate, well, we'll call him Manicotti, decided that we would bolt on up to Victorville for the weekend. But why Victorville? Another friend, Martinez, who, by the way, also makes an appearance in episode 14, Hair of the Dog. Check that out if you haven't seen it yet. Was from Victorville. And so we could crash at his pad while we caroused with friends of his sister. Manicotti had a car, a 1985 Mustang convertible. This was some real Vanilla Ice shit. Up to this point, this car had carried us to Victorville and back, Hollywood, hell, even Mexico, with no problems. Well, other than that one time I ran it up on the center divider on the 15 in Temecula, after I fell asleep at the wheel at 3 in the morning. The car was undamaged, but the tire marks are still on the center divider to this day. Good job, Caltrans. That's a story for another time. But on this hot August day in 1998, yeah, I still had a cast on my right dick beater from the last episode. Things did not go so smoothly. We began to go up the low-grade hill just ahead of the Cajon Pass. I think we were still in Fontana. Tucky. When suddenly his car began to smoke and the horrible noise of an angry pterodactyl emitted from under the hood, where there should only have been the sound of 210 ponies. We pulled over, ended up under an overpass that had no off-ramp, and in 1998 was in the middle of nowhere. I think there's a shopping center or a mall there now. Time marches on. Whatever. Well, Manicotti popped open the hood, and it was clear that this Mustang had broken a leg and needed to be put out of its misery. I asked Manicotti, dude, when was the last time you put oil in this thing? He looks me straight in the face and says, I thought it would come with it in it. I mean, he's not wrong. But he's not right either. So we did what any self-respecting sailors would do. We hitchhiked. We stuck our thumbs out and hoped for the best. Hell, I even showed some leg a few times, but all that got was honks and jeers. Important note for all you kids out there. This was a time before everybody had a cell phone in their pocket. Finally, this dusty old 1970s vintage pickup truck looked like it came right off the set of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, pulled up to a stop. Manicotti and I walked cautiously up to the truck. We were relieved to see that it was a middle-aged woman with her golden retriever mix of something or other. She asked where we were going. We told her Victorville, which is about 30 miles away. She said it's your lucky day. Right. because she was going to Barstow. Well, we crammed our asses in that truck with that poor woman, and for about 30 minutes, we recounted our misadventures sponsored by Ford. She dropped us pretty close to Martinez's house, and we only had to walk like 2 blocks. When we got to Martinez's, I had to recount the whole sordid story again while Manicotti made phone calls to tow trucks and mechanics, all while getting nothing accomplished. It was Saturday evening. That night we hooked up with a couple of girls and went to the movies. I don't remember what movie we saw, mainly on account that me and the girl that I was with didn't really watch the movie. We went back in. Manicotti and his girl took the spare bedroom. The girl that I was with and we slept on a pallet on the floor. It was all very innocent. Mostly. Sort of. The next day we began to try to find our way home. Martinez was on leave and he didn't have a car because his mother had taken his on a road trip or something or other. The nearest Amtrak or Greyhound station was in Riverside, about 30 miles away. Manicotti kept calling mechanics and tows, but nobody is open on Sunday. Figures. So I decided to call the ship. When the petty officer of the watch answered, I told him our names, the divisions we were in, and a brief synopsis of our unfortunate sob story. I continued this ritual every 4 hours so that every new watch would know what was going on with us. It became apparent that we would not be making it back to the ship on Monday. Well, Manicotti was inconsolable. He fell into a deep hole of despair and self-pity that nobody could reach down far enough to get him out of. This left it up to me. I started calling Amtrak and Greyhound and telling them our sob story and seeing if somebody could come pick us up and give us a ride to the station. We didn't have the funds for a cab ride because it was the end of the month. No Ubers or Lyfts in 1998. It was a simpler time. It was Sunday evening. I set my alarm on my watch to every 4 hours and kept calling the ship. I asked for the duty driver to come get us, and the answer was always that the duty driver was busy. It's the middle of the night. What are they busy doing? The next day we were officially UA. Manicotti was useless. The girl he had been with tried to console him. The girl I was with had a job, so I had no consolation. This went on through Tuesday until I thought about it and realized that I had an ex-girlfriend just down the road in Hesperia. I didn't call her. I called her Mom instead. I gave her the story and she gave me the, "Oh, Aaron, what'll you get yourself into next?" It was Monday night. Tuesday morning, she came and scooped us up and took us to Greyhound. We asked for 2 tickets to San Diego. To our horror, the guy behind the counter, a real winner, with the dead eyes of someone who had to spend too much time dealing with the types of people who ride Greyhound buses. Sailors and hopheads mostly. He 1,000-yard stared right through us. Said the next bus doesn't come until tomorrow. Turned to see what Manicotti thought, but it was clear that Manicotti was not thinking. I grabbed him, and we walked a couple blocks to Amtrak to see what their deal was. Turns out Amtrak contracted some of their routes to Greyhound. Ours was one of those routes. The only difference was that it would be more expensive. So, we walked back to Greyhound, and I called the ship and made one final plea for a duty driver. This time I got the officer of the deck, who was a chief petty officer, who told me, "This is your mess, not mine. Get yourself out of this." Thanks, Chief. We bought Greyhound tickets. It was Tuesday afternoon. We slept in the station. Well, no shame there. We weren't the only ones draped across the connected plastic seats that smelled vaguely of piss. But we were probably the only ones who were actually trying to sleep. Everyone else was in a varying state of mind-altering confusion. We got back to the ship on Wednesday evening. Our IDs were immediately confiscated, and we were placed on a DRB. That's Disciplinary Review Board. Hold. By Friday, we were lined up in the P-way outside the CPO mess with all the other fuck-ups of the week, awaiting our pre-scolding from the DRB. DRB is where you go before a committee of senior enlisted ranks. Their job is to make you feel like absolute shit before you go see the executive officer, who gets his own portion of your ass to chew on before you finally go see the old man, who chews what's left and makes you realize you don't just feel like a piece of shit. You are a piece of shit. And now your bank account's gonna prove you're a piece of shit. Generally, you leave these things with no ass left. This DRB consisted of 5 chiefs. I don't recall who all they were, except for one. Master Chief Delaney. Master Chief Delaney was quite possibly one of the crustiest sailors, if not the crustiest sailor on the boat. He joined the Navy during the Korean War, in like 1951 or some shit. This was 1998. He'd been in the Navy for like 47 years. He had service stripes from his cuff all the way around his back down to his other cuff. Well, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but not by much. I was the first to go in. Chiefs began asking me questions. What was my part in this? What did I do to keep it from happening? What did I do once it happened? Finally, Master Chief Delaney just lit into me with all the fires of hell, and when he was done chewing, he calmed down. He said, "Well, I see you called the ship every watch while you were out. You requested the duty driver. This wasn't your car, and you had no intention of going AWOL." He took a breath, and he leaned forward. "Did you get laid, Petty Officer Burks?" "No, Master Chief." "Well, the only fucking thing you did wrong was you didn't get laid. Now get out of here, you moron. Get your ID. Send the other jackass in." I went out into the P-way. Manicotti says, "They let you off?" I told him, "It's your turn, man." He walked in, and before the door even closed, I heard Master Chief Delaney yelling at Manicotti, "I told you not to buy that fucking car, and you bought that fucking car. I told you not to go to Victorville, and you went to fucking Victorville. You did nothing to fix this situation. You're lucky you had Burks with you." I left that P-way as quickly as my legs would carry me. Manicotti went to Mast and got 2 weeks of restriction. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of my first UA. Yeah, there was another one. That's a story for a different time.
What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Early in the morning, way hey and up she rises. Way hey and up she rises. Way hey and up she rises. Early in the morning.
V is for Victorville. It's really just a reversed engineered revert to your health. Let's try that again. Yes, he pisses on her and shits integrity. Yeah. After I fell asleep at the wheel at 3 a.m. in the morning. 3 a.m. in the morning. After will it ever stop? Yo. I don't know. I wish I could just say stop recording and it would stop recording, but we've not progressed that far. I have to get my fat ass up and go press the stupid fucking button. This story is much too drunk to be told it, but practically everything I do pretty loaded. The only exception I know is a time when I'm driving in a car, wishing that I was in a bar, opening up my favorite jar, so the punch I can lace. I get no kicks in fast lanes, driving too fast with the cops on my ass doesn't do nearly what a cocktail can do. I get a kick out of booze. Some addicts go for cocaine. I'm sure that if I took even one sniff, it would bore me terrifically too. 'Cause I get a kick out of booze. I get a kick every time the waitress sets a garnished drink before me. I get a kick, though it's clear to me tomorrow won't be so hunky-dory. I get no kicks in a plane unless that dame who brings me rum and bourbon can keep my plastic chalice perpetually full. 'Cause I get a kick, you give me a boost. I get a kick out of booze.